Hi, welcome to another edition of Antique Radio Archaeology. This is part 4 of the Chelsea Super-Five series, and in this particular episode we're going to be doing a restoration on a 1927 deluxe version of the Chelsea Super-Five. It's pretty obvious there have been some dramatic changes in the aesthetics on the 1927 version. Obviously we have the window dials, which are really nice. This is an on-off switch, and you've got your rheostat control here. So they basically eliminated one of the rheostats for filament control. The other thing is there's no headphone jacks. You only have speaker jacks here. The cord connections are actually done on a nice little metallic plate there. So as you can see, the chassis inside looks identical with the exception of the color. The color is more of a dark brown instead of that reddish brown. So it's a very nice looking radio, and on the back obviously there's no terminals, so there's supposed to be some type of wiring harness. Don't know if it's inside the radio. I don't know if this is missing one or not, but it does require a wiring harness. The case itself is in pretty good shape, so I think the next step is to go ahead and pull this thing apart. Now on the faceplate there are some issues here. I've got some bubbling down here that has to be addressed. I've got some missing veneer here. The thing that concerns me the most is I am missing, there was a plate here. Now this was sold as another company's branded radio. The company's name was Belmont, and it had a plate that said Belmont on it, and that's been taken off. The only reason I know that is because I took it off. I don't like it. I don't want it on there. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up those holes and just try to fill that in and get this thing looking the way it should. So let's go ahead and take this thing apart and see what it looks like on the inside. Let's have the wiring harness. Okay, so a couple of things. There were 3 capacitors in the 1926 version. There's only 2 on this one. The grids, if you notice, have resistors on them on the first 2 RF tubes. This is a different style of rheostat there, in that they took the curved rheostat and they attached a metal piece here. Definitely has a different switch there. And according to advertisements, it's actually silver plated. So let's see. Coils look to be in really good shape. This thing here is that just came out of the thing. Other than that, it's in good shape. There are no plates for the capacitors. Those are definitely not part of this. And as far as the transformers here, I did remove those for the transformer project where I did the Model 50 and Model 51 transformer restorations, and I did go ahead and repair those transformers, so I just need to put them back in. But I'll do that when I reassemble this after we take everything apart, because we're going to go ahead and disassemble it. I may do a paint job on it. I haven't decided yet. I may not. I may just go ahead and keep this paint and just put a clear coat over it. I'll take a look at that. So I got about 3 feet of cable, 2.5 feet of shoelace. Putting 4 wires in the shoelace. That one's going to be separate. That's for the antenna. Okay, so I need to replace these. These are all yellowed and old and thing. I've got 2 of them from another project, so I need a third. So what I'm going to use, a little blister pack from my Dremel wire brushes. I mean, any blister pack will do. I'll go ahead and cut the back off of it. Use the template. And there you have it. 3 windows, same size. Okay. Put just a little bit on it, see what it does. Oh yeah, that's cutting right through that. So this is a coat of lacquer. Looks to be in pretty good shape. I'll let that dry and do some repairs. Okay, so all my parts are cleaned up, ready to go. The chassis cleaned up, ready to go. The faceplate's cleaned up, ready to go. So I can start reassembly. So as not to make the same mistake I did last time, I did check to make sure my primaries and secondaries were oriented correctly, which they are. That is my primary, and that is going to filament and my 90 volts, that's right. And then my secondary should be going to a grid, that's the big thing, and that's the high ohms, 1.5K. That goes to the grid, which is this wire here, so that is correct. This one is a plate one, and that should be a primary, which it is, and my secondary goes to a grid from here, and that is correct. So yes, my transformer is oriented correctly, so I don't make the same mistake I did on the last one. Okay, transformer's wired in. However, so did the same thing I did on the other one. I wired these two to this bus. I need a bus over here to here. Okay, so went ahead and got these two straight. Moved this one over from here and then added that one down there. So Well, the assembly went really well, and this thing is a little bit simpler, believe it or not. There are some somewhat dramatic changes, but not really to the operation of the circuitry, except for a couple of minor things. Number one, they went to a single rheostat. So instead of the two that we had before, which were controlling the RF section and the audio section, one rheostat controls all of it. So that's right here. They've got a different type of a turn type of switch, but you know, it's just basically a switch, so nothing changes there. One of the main things that you'll notice is there's only loudspeaker jacks. There are no headphones jacks in this particular model. So with all that, as you can see, you have the same operation. You come in, hit this tank circuit, come off the antenna. Oh, and now instead of going directly to the grid, you're actually going through a 700 ohm grid resistor. So you do that, go through, hit the first RF, and it narrows it down, hit the second RF, same situation, you got another grid resistor over here, and then you're going to hit the tank circuit right before the detector, and of course it's going to detect the audio. You have your C1 again, your T1 with your 45 volts going to it, your V4, which is your first amplifier section, and it's getting its 90 volts from here through the filament side of T2. You also have your 90 volts coming here to the loudspeaker, through the loudspeaker to the plate of V5. So it's the same configuration as the 1926 as far as the amplifier section. Nothing has changed here except for you don't have that tap off for a headphone jack off of V4. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, there's one rheostat, and it's hitting all the tubes, and it's pretty efficient actually. Now there is one thing that I do need to point out, is if you come off the wiper side, you're hitting ground, but one of the things that they're adding to the ground is a chassis ground right here. So this right here is tied here to the rheostat and to the A minus ground wire coming in. This could be hooked anywhere else, but I just went ahead and tied it there since it was convenient. So that is important because that they don't have the little diamond-shaped plates here for to help with the RF interference that they had on the 1926 version. So without those plates, you need to have some other form of RF protection, and that's where they're using the chassis. So that's pretty much it. We're going to go ahead and throw this thing in the case and fire her up, see how she sounds. Okay, so I've got the battery eliminator hooked up, I have a speaker, I have an antenna, so let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see how she sounds. Got filaments.
Van Jones from CNN, and there's some of these things that these people they do and they say, and you just wonder if they ever listen to themselves. Do they keep track of what they've said in the past, or do they just wait for some troll on the internet to dig it up and show what kind of a hypocrite they are? Van Jones was.
Okay, that was 7:50 a.m. Here's my local station, or in-home.
Johnny Mercer. A good song, and we'll buy it for Steve Taylor and Oliver Reed. Here goes the nickel, and it's Johnny Mercer singing I'm Gonna See My Baby.
Well, I do have to say, as far as restorations go, this one was a relatively easy one. For some reason, not too many things went wrong, which is usually the case in these restorations, so I'm very grateful for that. And luckily, I'm going to be able to get this one out to you in a timely manner as far as videos go. If you happen to notice a similarity between this and a radio that I did many months ago, if you happen to follow my channel, this one looks just like the 1927 Chelsea Truphonic 6. Now, they're totally different radios. The Truphonic 6 uses Truphonic circuitry, which is RC coupling between the amplifier sections instead of magnetic coupling. And it has a few extra wires as well as the 6 tubes. So that was quite the interesting radio to restore, and I will post a link to it in my description. The next video in this series will be on the 1927 Super-Five metal face version, so that one will be coming out soon. In the meantime, happy restorations everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's video and hope to see you again next one. Goodbye.